My ex-husband's father, so my father-in-law, he told me, he was like, hey, I'm gonna give you some money and you can redo my bathroom, right? And I was like, okay, cool, right? Because I just have always had a love for like just anything that's home related. Like I'm that person that's walking down the street when the lights are on and I'm like trying to stalk the homes to try to see what it looks like inside, you know? I'm not a design expert or anything like that, but he gave me some money to redo his bathroom. And so I did it. And when I was done, he was like, you know what? I think you have a knack for like homes and I think you should get into real estate. And I was like, I'm not really sure about that. I wanted to be a teacher. And what happened was I had 3 kids really quickly. And I decided being a teacher wasn't for me because being with kids all day long just, wasn't quite. I love to teach and I love to help people, but I just thought being around kids all day just wasn't my thing. And so anyways, I had a friend of mine who needed an assistant she worked at Bank of America and she needed an assistant. And so I was like, yeah, that might be good because I can get out of the house a little bit. I can still be with my kids. It was kind of a part-time thing. And so I took that on and that ended up going into more full-time. So lo and behold, my father-in-law was like, I told you real estate, right? And so I guess mortgage was in the realm of real estate, but a couple years in, it just wasn't, I was sitting behind a cubicle all day. I didn't get home till like 6:30 and my kids were in daycares or coming home alone, things like that. And so I was like, I need to be more flexible with my schedule. And so it was 2004, I was pregnant. I got my license while I was pregnant and I was like, I just need to do this. So I have 4 kids, single mom, and I'm like, I'm just gonna do this, right? And so 2005, I jumped into real estate finally, and he's like, okay, it's about time that you did it, right? And so, but as you know, 2005, kind of leading into that, right? Not really the best market.
Well, you're kind of still in the boom years in '05, right?
Well,
it's starting to crumble by '06, right?
Yes, yeah. So, granted, at that point, I had, a very expensive home that I was paying for. I mean, we were doing pretty well in the mortgage industry then, right? Like anything that you touch turned to gold. So literally, like you could say whatever. And I was a loan processor, so I was handling all the files and making sure that, they look the way that they should to get pushed through. But it really wasn't the best timing to be getting into another career and have 4 kids and a large mortgage and all that on your back, right? And so anyways, in, 2008, that's when things were really getting crazy, right? And I remember the day that, and I was doing okay in real estate. What I did and what I still do is I got in with referral companies. I'm not a door knocker. I'm not built that way. I've done my team knows this really well. I've done one open house in my whole career. I put out signs and I was like, well, this sucks. I don't want to do this, right? And so, but I'm very techie. I love anything tech and computers and all that. And so I got in with some referral partners, like early on, back when it was kind of archaic with websites and all that stuff. And so anyways, but it was crashing. Everything was crashing, right? And so I remember I had like $2,000 in my account, huge house, 4 kids, all this stuff. And I just remember going, what am I gonna do? Like, am I gonna feed them or am I gonna pay the mortgage? Luckily I did have equity in the house, so I was able to sell the house. We got out of the market, we rented, and I was like, I'm just gonna start building this up. I'm just gonna it's almost like when you hit a bottom and you need to be grateful for those things because it pushes you to find a way out. It's the people that fall victim and they they see the bad in everything, they're just going to get more of that. So I looked at it as, I'm going to make this happen, right? Like I got to feed my kids, right? First of all, you have to get your mind straight, right? Because when things start sinking, you start sinking with it, and you kind of have to pause and go, all right, hold on, like, how do I fix this, right? Anything's possible, how do I fix this? And so you have to like put your priorities in order, and you have to just figure out what's most important and what's not. And again, you can't go crawl in a hole, because that's not going to do anything for anybody. And so first priority was sell the house, downsize everything, take the equity, pay anything off. I'm not one that acquires debt and all that stuff either, though. I'm not built that way. Like, I don't need fancy cars or anything like that. So that really wasn't too much of a problem, but just kind of consolidating everything. And I remember kind of sitting there going, okay, all I have is rent. Like, I'm going to be okay. And so then, start looking around for opportunities within the same realm of what I'm used to. And so that's when I started to do BPOs, which is broker price opinions for the foreclosure, for the banks. Mm-hmm. And those were grindy. Like I would go and take a picture of a house, or I'd have to go in and take pictures of it. I was basically like an appraiser making $50 to $75 per BPO that I did. And then I'd have to go home and write a report. So just grindy work, right? Mm-hmm. But that grindy work, and I still had some escrows, here and there, just kind of floating around. But that grindy work got me into getting to know the banks and getting to know asset managers and getting into basically the foreclosure market, which that's what the market was, right? Mm-hmm. And then, word of mouth started to get out, and I started to get short sales. And then I was one of the first partner agents here in San Diego. I think this was 2010 to 2011 for Redfin. So I met the head of Redfin at a Starbucks and did an interview, and basically he was like, yeah. And so I started to get all of Redfin's short sales, because they weren't built to handle short sales. They take a long time, and Redfin's not built that way. Mm-hmm. That eventually changed, but I just was able to kind of leverage the referral partners that I had. I also had a baby in 2010. I had my 5th child. Mm-hmm. And so I literally would be holding him with my computer. They would send me a referral, and I would manage the short sales. You'd take the calls. Anyways, it's back to hustle, right? It's do whatever you can. And so that, another referral partner, my very first referral partner, which I'm near and dear to my heart to this day, and we're the largest brokerage here in San Diego, and I appreciate them, it was Quicken Loans, but they had a company called In-House Realty. And so now, that was 2006. Now they are Rocket Mortgage and Rocket Homes. Huge company, right? Yeah. They were just getting started with that. And I was lucky enough, I don't even know how I found them, to be honest. But I do say I stumble into the right things at the right time, and I call it luck. But Tina, my business partner, she calls it hard work, but I call it luck. I have no idea how I stumbled into them. But they were giving me referrals, right? So back, the referrals now, that's kind of the name of the game with people, right? You got Zillow, and you got Redfin, and you got all these different portals. That was back before that stuff was really happening at all. And so they, I don't even know how many people they had out here. I can't imagine they had very many. And I would get referrals. So I didn't have to go door knock. I didn't have to go hunt for it. They were a small company, so I wasn't getting a ton of referrals, and that's why I had to go do the BPOs. And you kind of have to, like I say, you have to have a lot of tools in the toolkit. You can't just leverage one thing. It's just you have to have a lot of options. So anyways, they kept me going through the rough times. Then I got into the BPOs, and I got into the foreclosures. I got into the short sales. it's just, anyways, the thing is I just kept going with real estate. Like, it's literally all I speak. I speak. Yeah, it's all I know. Yeah.
So what pushed you so hard to not jump ship when so many agents did at that time? Because I
had no other options, and nothing else sounded good to me. You know what I mean? Like, nothing else was in my DNA. It just didn't sound good. And honestly, I don't consider myself like a salesperson at all. And I never growing up would have ever thought that I'm a salesperson. And I think that's actually what makes a very successful consultant or a customer service provider, is that I don't ever consider myself as selling something. I'm there to support them, right? Yeah. And so I just think having the right mentality of this profession is everything too. Yeah. So I had no other options. I loved what I did. You know, as much as there was definitely moments or just people, because you're in a people service business, that are difficult or maybe don't mesh with you, and that's okay. You know, everybody's different. I couldn't think of anything else I wanted to do, so I stuck with it. You know, and I think that stability is important to me, and you know, bouncing around to different things really wasn't going to work for me. So yeah.
So what I hear you saying is, and you kind of stumbled into it, but it was finding a niche and really working that niche.
Working it, yeah. And I'm still working it. I'm still finding new things that, you know, like, things evolve. Like, our market has evolved, technology has evolved, the referral partners have evolved, just all the opportunities. Teams weren't a huge thing back then. You had small little, like, people that got together, but you have to evolve with what's going on, and you have to kind of know and feel, and you have to study what's going on. So, for example, when I travel, because my little guy plays golf, and so we travel a lot, I'm not the person that's sitting there watching movies, sitting back on the plane. I'm literally with my laptop open, either got the Wi-Fi on doing work, or I've downloaded videos that, you know, for different systems or whatever it is. It's anything real estate, and I'm watching those and I'm studying it, and I'm, you know, trying to take it all in. So it's just, you have to go all in. You have to go all in if you want to be successful. I mean, there's agents out there that are, you know, doing 5, 6 a year, and maybe that's their comfort level, and that's okay. However, if you want to be all in, you got to be all in, you know, and you got to, like, go for it hard.
If you like this interview you're watching and you want to see more like this one, make sure you hit the subscribe button for the Prospecting Today YouTube channel.
So anyways, Sisu has like a transaction management, and I just couldn't wrap my brain around it because it just seemed complicated. But once you stop, and this is kind of back to like traveling and like sitting down and actually watching and studying something, we were like, you know what, this is a good system, and we can run our transactions through this, and it's just very transparent. They're always making it better. I'm always like, I think I'm kind of a nerd, but I'm super excited every Wednesday when they roll out like new stuff that they're doing. You know, I'm like, I got to get on and watch this. But anyways, so we use Sisu. We're just getting it launched and started, and you know, you have to like train everybody and make sure they know, and you have to do it in increments. You can't just throw everything at once. And so we've been working on this for the last couple months. So at what point were you doing well as an agent that you decided to partner up and start a team? Okay, this is a good story. So, okay, it was 2016, 2017, somewhere in that realm. I was getting totally burnt out of just the grind of waking up and, you know, again, I love helping people. I'm that person that like, I'll give you the keys and I'll literally be crying with you and all that stuff. I love it. But what becomes hard is you get up and somebody wants to see something like in a couple hours, and I have kids and I've promised them we're going to go have breakfast or we're going to go do something, and now all of a sudden I'm shuffling and I'm sorry and I can't. So that whole flexibility thing, because of the volume I had, right? So I had so many referral partners at that point now. Good problem to have. Mm-hmm. I had past clients coming back. I had referrals from clients that I've helped, just things like that. And I can't say no. Like I was like, sure, I'll go. So I was grinding so hard, and I had built something, gratefully so much, but I just was like, I physically can't do this anymore. Like I can't give the service that I want to give all by myself, and it's literally killing me. Like it's just totally lost my enthusiasm. But again, back to, okay, well, what am I going to do? Like, I can't get out of this profession. I don't want to. What else could I do? And so I got together with Tina. You probably heard her name a few times. So she knows Wally well too. So she was the opposite. She helped to run companies, build teams. Like, she's a production coach. She also started her own team and did all that stuff too. But she was tired of management and corporate world and all that stuff. And so she had reached out to me because I had a listing that, remember, I don't do open houses, right? And she had reached out to me and she was like, hey, can I do an open house on your listing? Because she was trying to get out of that world and into the other world. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, sure. And then we started talking, and I can't remember how it all kind of came together, but we met up one day and we both were looking at each other kind of broken, going, well, hey, you've got that and I've got that. Like, maybe we should put this together. And so, yeah, it was her and I. We just, I had the leads and the referral partners and the connections and all that stuff, and she had the know-how about the business side. And so we just said, let's do this. I rented a little office space, a little 1,000 square foot. I was super freaked out. It was like $1,400 a month, and I was like, oh my gosh, how am I going to be able to afford this? And I was freaking out. We grew out of that really fast. Within a year, we were totally we could hardly even go in there because there wasn't enough space. And it's crazy because, people just started to kind of come. Word got out, and I mean, obviously if you have opportunities for people, but you need to be a good person. You need to be, our core values, you need to be kind, you need to be a good person, and you need to feel good, and people just started coming in. And so the team started growing. And were you able to get back control of your life when you made that step? So you know what, it's interesting because I feel like I was still working just as much, if not more, but it was more of a controlled kind of work environment, and it was exciting again. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was exciting. So, even now with this office space, because we've been in here for about 2 months, same thing. It's expensive. It's a huge leap from what I had before. It's not $1,400 anymore. Mm-hmm. And I was freaked out. Mm-hmm. And you just have to say, okay, it's all going to work out fine. It's going to be totally fine. And we've had moments even with this space and with the growth. And like I said, we kind of had to step back and clean up a little bit to step forward. There's just moments of being scared, but there's moments that you're you have to just kind of push through it, and then you'll be fine. So you're catching me on the other end of another kind of fall back a little and move forward. So it's super exciting. Put together a process and a system of onboarding and how we do all that. And so on our team, what we're doing is they basically need to go through a 30-day onboarding, and they need to be, and it's intense. You need to be here. If you can't commit to 30 days, if you're well, I'm going to be out of town for a week or whatever, then you're going to start the next month. It's the way it is, right? So a really good, thorough, intense onboarding. And I have 2 girls that are running that right now, along with our sales manager. And you can't just bring agents in and expect that they're going to figure it out, right? So that, and then we have just training. We have trainings ongoing. We use Slack for our communication, and so we will, throw out ideas. And what's cool is when you start to get a larger team, your team members will start helping each other. Like, they're going to start to train, answer questions. They're going to be the ones to start helping each other out, right? We even, for our Tuesday trainings, we have mentors that help that's another thing. We have mentors, so some of our lead agents help the newer agents. So for a while we had them training the mentees on a separate day, and then we were like, well, why don't we have you guys just open it up to everybody? So once a month, and they can do it more if they want. I'm super open if they want to bring me an idea, and we kind of run with what might be better, but they train. Mm-hmm. So they're in here training, or they're opening conversation and stuff like that. So the thing about that though is the person has to want to be open to coaching and training, and they need to show up. Mm-hmm. And if you're not showing up, then it's not going to happen, right? I also think there's wonderful people out there that, again, they can sell a few homes and maybe they're comfortable with that, but you definitely need to wake up every morning and obviously, be grateful for everything you have, but you need to wake up and literally think about real estate all day long to do this well. Mm-hmm. It just needs to be front and center all day long. We have things that roll out to when they're under contract. We have a form that says getting to know you, and they fill it out. People love that, right? They love to tell you about themselves, and I love to find, I've learned some stuff about people that I'd be like, I never would have thought you've done that, right? Yeah. And so we collect their birthdays, anniversaries, things like that. So we put it in a system, and we have cards that go out to them. They get an email on their birthday. We do quarterly mailers to them, of just kind of homes in the market, things like that. We have a monthly newsletter that goes out. We have client events. So obviously with COVID that changed a little bit, but we went to a brewery and we invited people. We give out pies in November. You know what I mean? We do stuff that helps to keep them still engaged and seeing us. I know Megan on the team, this is pretty cool. She does client reviews with them. So she'll reach out and she'll say, hey, it's been, I don't know, however many months. It might be time for us to just check in on your equity, see how things are going. And they jump on Zoom usually, and they do a client review. So I've got some on the team that are more SOI, kind of sphere of influence. They farm their area, or, that's what's cool though, is people on the team have kind of their niche with what they do. So I have some that don't take as many referrals, and they focus more on SOI and kind of keep it low and light. And I have some that are taking them left and right, and they're doing it amazing, So that's the cool thing about a team, is you have options.
Do you have people that dial for dollars?
So we do that on Thursdays. Yeah, we actually call it dial for dollars. Yeah. So we do that. And if you have a CRM, so a client relationship management system, which you should, which ironically, leading up to having a team, I did not, but I kept everything organized in my Outlook, and I kind of had my system, but lo and behold, if I would have known or done that. But CRM started coming out, that was kind of technology that started coming out a little later. That was getting more robust. But they have dialers in their CRM, and they can plug that in. And there's ways on the CRM to track how many calls and emails and text messages, because nobody likes to do that stuff. It's just the way it is, right? But there's ways to track that, and then hold them accountable. We wouldn't be doing our job if they came to us and they said they had a certain goal in mind, and we weren't helping to hold them accountable, because real estate agents, they're not usually really good at being on top of all that stuff. They want to be out with people. They want to be in front of people. So they don't They don't pay attention to all those things, right? And so just, trying to keep them accountable, but not making them feel like we're hovering over them every second. So there's a fine balance, and that gets a little tricky sometimes, So
what's the biggest mistake you see agents make?
The biggest mistake is thinking that they're working. They're doing little tedious things and they're not working. You know what I mean? Like you could be spending an hour doing, and social media is amazing. I definitely think that it's the way to go. It's definitely a tool in the toolkit, right? Mm-hmm. But I think sometimes people will get sucked into something and say that they spent a couple hours working on a social media post, for example, and if it's just like a stagnant post or something like that, and I'm just using that as an example, but thinking that you're working, but you're just killing time. You're distracting yourself, so you're not doing the stuff that you should be doing, mm-hmm. right? The other thing too is having a daily routine. If you get up and you're just sitting there going, okay, well, what am I going to do today? You're not going to do well if you're not looking at your calendar the week before, the night before, the morning of. You always need to be aware of what's going on, and you always need to be looking for things to fill those gaps, mm-hmm. and fill your days. So I think time management is probably the biggest problem for real estate agents.
Yeah. Any ideas on how to, if I'm someone who's struggling with that? You're an expert in this industry.
Join a team.
Okay.
Join a team, because we'll hold you accountable. We'll help you with the systems. If you're a solo agent and you're having a hard time figuring that out, you need to have camaraderie with the team. You need to have systems, processes. You need to be around it to feel it. Because if you're just stuck at home or you're just sitting in a little cubicle, you're not going to feel the vibe and the energy of it. Mm-hmm. So you need to be in it. And I definitely think that the whole team explosion is the way to go for people. You do need to be a puzzle and problem solver. So the other thing is you need to be a therapist to people. So I can't think of a specific client or anything like that. But what I can say is you need to get on with them, and you need to control the situation with them, and you need to be supportive, and you need to so I guess what pops into my mind is maybe a client that, you have your home inspection and all of a sudden something came up that is throwing them for a loop, right? And they're losing their mind. I don't know if I want to proceed. And so you need to step in, and again, it's not selling them, but it's supporting them. And you need to step in and support them and say, do you remember why we're here? You wanted to move into this home because it's down the street from your sister or whatever it is, right? So bringing them back into why they're doing it. Is this pipe that we just found fixable? It's fixable, right? Mm-hmm. How much does it cost? At the end of the day, when you get the keys and you're down the street from your sister, are you going to be happy with that? Yeah. And then you start reeling in the emotions. I haven't been in a market like this, right? But I have been in markets that I've never been in before either. And guess what? We get through it and we figure it out and we roll with it. Again, no crystal ball or anything like that, but it's a booming market. We've been in booming markets before. We've been in markets that have tanked. And, it kind of goes back to what did I do when things started to go down? I found what was the niche for that market. So right now we're in a seller's market. When it changes, we'll be in a buyer's market. You just roll with the markets. So as far as prices and values and people getting in the market, it's still happening. Rates are super low. They can still afford it. People are finding a way. Real estate is a wonderful career, and it's an amazing opportunity, but you really need to be fully committed to it, to be in it and to love it, or I feel like you're gonna kind of get washed out on it. You know what I mean? I feel like agents should really take it, commit to it, and go hard and strong. But that's just how I'm built. So you may ask another person and they may tell you something differently on that one, but I just really appreciate the people that get into this profession and seriously speak the same language as I do. Like, get into it and go hard. Like, don't be scared. Again, back to me and the whole rent thing and all that. You know, you're going to have moments that you're like, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this? Like, go for it. Take the risk, go for it, go hard, and totally commit.